Let's bring in retired ICE Special Agent Victor Avila. Victor, so great to see you. First of all, what is your reaction to seeing these smuggling routes? How do they differ maybe from what's been done in the past?
Well, I'm very familiar with these smuggling routes as I used to work in Mexico and help enforce the alien smuggling that we call and human smuggling and human trafficking. And it really hasn't changed much, let me tell you. It's still the same country. As a matter of fact, it's been facilitated by some of these countries, just like Jorge's report pointed out, that some of these countries like Nicaragua and Ecuador have lifted their visa requirements, making it easier for these other migrants coming from African nations, China, to make it through there and straight into Mexico. I investigated and took down a lot of Afghan smuggling routes that come and end through Mexico, as well as Chinese nationals. But the big difference here, I want everybody to understand, is that there was enforcement by the U.S. government, something that we're not seeing happening right now. We talk about the gaps there at the end of the wall, but the reason why they're coming there is because they know that there's no restraint from the U.S. government. There's no holding them back. And so that's why they continue to do that flagrantly.
You know, and Victor, how does the U.S. stay on top of this when we know that the methods are constantly evolving, sometimes becoming more covert? But as we just saw there, I mean, it's pretty overt. It's right there in the open.
And that's a great point because, by the way, we still have the smuggling, the covert operations of thousands of people that want to come into the country completely undetected. But to your point, it's very obvious they're not covering anything up here. They're literally walking into our border because of the lack of enforcement, and that's what I think we need to go back to. Now, Mexico's trying to do something here, and this has to do with the deal that the Biden administration made with the Mexican government. They never revealed that secret deal that they made. They never made it public to the American people, but we can see with our eyes what is happening, the reduction of people coming to the border. But I'm afraid that it might be politically motivated, both on the Mexican side and the U.S. side, as both countries are looking at election cycles this year.
Yeah, and politics, so many times plays into so many things. Does the U.S. need to ask or demand more from Mexico when it comes to trying to stop the flow?
Absolutely. Listen, we need to go back to, as a matter of fact, it's kind of backwards right now. Mexico is demanding of us, paying them money, lifting restrictions from Venezuela and Cuba. But that's not the way it should work. It should be the United States demanding Mexico to do more on their part. Remember, most of the people coming through Mexico are illegally present in Mexico as well, and I don't see the deportations happening from that side. And so definitely the United States has to continue to put the pressure on the Mexican government to help them do their part. This is a team effort here, but I'm not seeing the other team help us end up helping both countries in the long run.
Before we let you go, Victor, I mean, do you think possibly changing the rules when it comes to residing and working in the U.S. legally will help? Do asylum laws need to change?
Actually, I tell you, I know the asylum criteria very well. It just needs to actually be followed. And that's the problem that we're in right now, is that the interpretation of the asylum criteria that, by the way, the United States government created is not being followed. We know that 9 out of 10 people coming into the country do not qualify for asylum, yet we allow them in and they roam around in our country. We might never be able to see them again. And the ones that do might end up showing up to a court date 5, 7, 10 years from now. And that's not the way the asylum system is supposed to work. We need to be able to investigate these credible fear cases, if in fact they even qualify for that credible fear status. But we must do it while they remain in Mexico, not while they're already allowed in the U.S., because we've seen the problems that it's causing, not just in Texas where I'm at, but in the entire country, North Carolina. Look at what's happening in Denver. Just got back from Baltimore. It's happening everywhere in our country. And now U.S. citizens from across the country are demanding, and they're saying, listen, you got to do something because it's really hurting our communities locally at this point.
Yeah, certainly. Communities really being strained. Former ICE Special Agent Victor Avila, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.